Y'all know I don't need no reason to watch Star Trek. All I need is an excuse to sit my butt down and catch an episode of any iteration of Star Trek. And today we're going to be talking about the Star Trek episode A Taste of Armageddon. Now, in that episode, the Enterprise finds a civilization stuck in a messed up system where war is just a boring bureaucratic process. So, two planets, Eminar 7 and Vendikar, they've been fighting for literal centuries using computer simulation to decide who dies in this war. Now, those chosen as victims of war, they willingly go to their execution. This system was meant to keep things running smoothly while still having war, and it ends up making its citizens less human, turning them into passive players in their own destruction. It's a scary picture of an obedient population trained to accept their own death without question. And it is a strong warning about the dangers of authoritarianism and the downfall of a society that gives up moral agency for blind loyalty and complacency. Now, I'm not by any means saying that this actual scenario could take place, especially in the United States of America, right? Right? But anyway, like I was saying, the people of Eminiar 7 just accept their fate because war has become so sanitized that death is just another day at the office, not something horrifying, not something terrible, not something to mourn over. And this is similar to how real life dictatorships use bureaucracy to make violence and oppression seem normal. So people just suffer and deal with it as just another part of life. A modern example would be when governments randomly fire a bunch of federal workers, treating them like trash to achieve their own political goals. Just like the Eminians, who see their own destruction as a duty, citizens who don't challenge these bad policies because they're politically loyal might be unknowingly screwing themselves over. So they like to see other people suffer, but when the suffering hits their front door, some of them don't like it and some of them don't even recognize it. But, this could happen somewhere else because Americans, we value our freedom so much that there is no way we would just sit around and wait for it to be our turn to be at the chopping block. Right? Right. An authoritarian regime like this has to start somewhere. So they stay in power by getting rid of things that provide stability and oversight. In A Taste of Armageddon, the government kind of brainwashes its people to go along with a cruel system that only benefits the rich and keeps a war going on forever. This is similar to what happens when governments dismantle important public institutions, pretending it's for efficiency or to save money, when they're actually creating instability that they can use to grab more power. They drastically cut jobs in federal agencies, and that weakens the very things that protect democracy, social services, and public safety, making it easier for dictators to take control. How about that? So, by firing a bunch of experienced people and hollowing out institutions, those people in power could create a fake crises that make their power grabs seem justified. Just like the leaders of Eminiar 7, who keep a war going that only benefits them while pretending it protects their society. Damn, I wonder if in our hypothetical society that I've been talking about, if all of those federal workers being unemployed at the same time would create a crisis. And how would the federal government, if they were so inclined, how would they capitalize on that crisis? That's just another one of those what if scenarios that we'll never ever have to worry about in America. And since we're talking about what ifs, Here's a question. What if people were so loyal to a leader or political party that they don't fight policies that hurt even themselves? Think about Eminians 7. People there literally walk to their deaths because they think it's good for their society. This is scary because it could mirror what happens in real life sometimes. Blind political loyalty can be stronger than self-preservation or common sense. When people back severe cuts to government programs just because their favorite leader says so, they might be shooting themselves in the foot. These programs often support their quality of life. Being loyal doesn't mean being stupid. You don't have to support bad ideas. History shows us that authoritarian leaders often use people's devotion to push their own agendas. Agendas that can end up hurting the very people who support them. Just like the citizens of Eminians 7, those who don't question or resist harmful policies might be playing a part in their own suffering without even realizing it. It would be catastrophic in the USA if people were to start being blindly loyal to any leader, putting politics over country, or even worse, politics over people, and making choices that will not only hurt themselves, but will hurt their neighbors too. I'm so glad that we don't have to worry about that here. Because who could develop a cult of personality that would make people be this dumb? That's what it would be, right? Dumb? If citizens fail to challenge government overreach or harmful policies, they become passive enablers of their own demise. In A Taste of Armageddon, Kirk disrupts the system by destroying the computers that sanitize war, forcing the Eminians to confront the true horror of their complacency. It makes them realize that real war has consequences. In the real world, there ain't gonna be no Kirk. The real life equivalent of Captain Kirk's intervention is going to be public resistance. Citizens who recognize when their government prioritizes ideology over functionality and when they choose to push back. The equivalent of destroying those computers in Star Trek to the real world would be us destabilizing this economy. And the only way we're going to do that is through sacrifice. But we'll get there later, if this was to really happen in the United States. A society that does not demand accountability from its leaders will inevitably face collapse, whether through economic instability, loss of essential services, or erosion of democratic principles, or all three. However, history also demonstrates that when people do resist through voting, through activism, civic engagement, civic disobedience, they can reclaim power and force meaningful change. This is where it scares me. If it were to happen in the United States, for instance, United States citizens are a little bit spoiled. We are. We like to spend money. Sometimes we spend money we don't even have. We like to have luxuries, things that would be considered a luxury in other countries. Many of us have an abundance of. I'm wondering if this scenario were to happen in the United States, would the citizens just sit back and wait for it to resolve itself because they don't want to be uncomfortable? And sometimes the only way to comfort is to get through a period of being uncomfortable. And I don't know if the United States citizens are ready for that kind of conversation. So that's why I'm so very glad that this ain't happening right here. So, for the hypothetical nation that I have been talking about, A Taste of Armageddon should serve as a stark warning about the dangers of authoritarianism and the perils of a population that blindly accepts harmful policies. Now, whether through the dehumanization of bureaucratic violence, the, dis- the dismantling of stabilizing institutions, or the prioritization of political loyalty over rational governance, this episode demonstrates how easily a society can be led into self destruction. I mean, history has shown us it took Hitler 53 days. 53 days to topple democracy in Germany. The lesson is clear, y'all. Systems of control persist because people allow them to. Let me say that again. Systems of control persist because we, the people, allow them to. Breaking the cycle is going to require some of the people on the opposing side to question authority, to resist these policies, and we need to demand accountability. Otherwise, like the citizens of Eminians 7, those who remain passive in the face of systemic destruction might find themselves walking willingly like lambs to the slaughter. But who are we fooling? It can never happen here, right? Right? So that quote on that last chapter card was from Elie Wiesel. And it resonated so deeply that I want to say it again, right? There may be times when we are powerless to prevent injustice, but there must never be a time when we fail to protest. The story of Eminians 7 is a chilling reminder that complacency is a luxury we cannot afford. We've seen how easily a society can slip into a state of blind obedience, sacrificing its own well being for the illusion of order. But unlike the Eminians, we have the power to choose a different path. We can choose to question, we can choose to challenge, we can choose to resist. And all of those things protects our right to exist. This isn't just about abstract concepts. It's about the very fabric of our lives. It's about the services we rely on, the rights we cherish, the future we want to build. So I ask you, will you be a passive observer or an active participant in shaping your future? Will you let the machinery of power grind you down, or will you stand up and demand accountability? Don't wait for Captain Kirk to save the day. Ain't no Captain Kirk. The power is in your hands, my hands, our hands. Share this video. Start a conversation. Discuss these ideas with your friends, your family, your community. Educate yourself. Research the policies that impact your life and understand the consequences of blind loyalty. Get involved. Vote. Volunteer. Make your voice heard. The fate of this country is not predetermined. It is a choice we make every single day. Choose to resist. Choose to question. Choose to act. Choose to be the change you wish to see. So, what will you choose? Leave a comment below and let's start this conversation. For those of you who haven't done so yet, please hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications so you know the next time that we're going to have one of these conversations. And I'll see everybody in the next one. Thank you. Peace. Every click, every share, y'all make us fly. Together we shine brighter than the sky. From
shout outs to comments, we see every word. Y'all the reason Tasha's voice gets heard. Subscribers growing, lighten up the day. With your support, we'll never fade away. Thank you, Unwrap fam, you keep us strong. Keep us strong. Your love and your faith help us move along. Help us move along. Every click, every share, y'all make us fly. Y'all make us fly. Together we shine brighter than the sky. Brighter than the sky. Roll call for the peeps who keep it alive. Patron super chats all here on the drive. Tasha got the mic, but you fuel the vibe. This channel's a party and y'all keep it live.
Monthly supporters, give y'all a cheer. Live stream energy, you bring the gear. Every episode's magic, cause of y'all's touch.